Hi, I'm Trooper Smacka.
Hi, I'm Trooper Wellman,
Please stay tuned for a behind-the-scenes look at being a state trooper.
and together we can make a difference.
Here we are live at the 360 Vegas studios with Trooper Thayer. Trooper Thayer, you know, we had a great conversation the last time. We were just talking before. I find you very interesting. I find that because you have such a calm demeanor,
Thanks.
and so like it's very easy to communicate with, and it's very easy to ask questions, and you're not like demanding to the point that like you know much more, but you're very like eloquent with it.
I appreciate that.
You know what I'm saying?
Thanks.
So it's very cool. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate that.
So now we have your motorcycle here.
This is mine officially.
This is yours officially. And so we were talking before about, you know, the subtle differences between everybody's motorcycle and people's motorcycle riding style.
Sure.
And so you all sort of train the same and do all that, but like, you know, each motorcycle has its own little feel for you, right?
Yeah, just like we talked about, you know, especially if it's a manual car, like you driving your own personal car, the clutch feels a little different than another car if it's a rental or a friend's car. And the bikes are the same exact way. So when we go through the motor school, we get together with other agencies like Metro, North Las Vegas. Let's say a bike goes down during the training and you have to pick up another bike. They're very cautious to learn that bike a little bit before you start pushing it and going through the cone patterns the way you were on the original bike, because those subtle differences in the clutch and the brakes and maybe just the age of the bike, how new or how old it is, there's those subtle differences that make it feel different. And so when we switch to a spare, like I was on another person's bike last time we talked, you gotta be cautious because that bike's set up a little bit differently. That person has maybe a little different air pressure going on, different clutch pattern, and so when you go out there and do enforcement, you just got to kind of take your time and learn that a little bit.
And do you like every day check, like, I mean, do you go through like, you know, the basic things like every single time you get on your motorcycle?
Not necessarily checking the exact air pressure every day. Luckily, these have sensors like a lot of the modern cars now. They're not perfect, but I know the numbers where there should be versus a manual gauge, which is more accurate. But yeah, I do my full walk around in the morning, check the radar systems, the speed laser there, and do the full walk around, make sure there's no leaks, the tires look good, there's no odd sounds coming from the brakes running down the driveway, and just do that kind of eyes and ears check every day.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And when you were leaving the last time, you turned on the motorcycle because you were driving out of the studio.
Right.
And you turned on like all these radar things, and you know what I mean, and different sides.
Sure.
I mean, this is very sophisticated. This isn't like a motorcycle you're just driving down the road.
There's a lot of bells and whistles. Those handlebars are loaded up with the buttons, and that's the biggest thing we stress when we bring on new. When I was brand new coming to the squad about 3 years ago, we spent another month alongside a training officer, or a training trooper in this case, that has that motorcycle experience. So now you pass the motor school, and now we go hit the road for real, and we're doing real enforcement. And all this stuff has to come second nature. You can't take those seconds to look down and make sure you're pressing the right buttons, hitting the radio. We take baby steps to get there, because you take your eyes off the road, it's just like driving your car. You know how much ground you can cover, especially going after someone that's doing high speed, especially on the city streets out here. So we take our time, we do baby steps. The training trooper will call the stops out for you at first. You're just basically focusing on riding, turning lights and sirens on, pulling the vehicle over. And then we step it up slowly but surely, get to those freeway speeds, and then learn how to do all the schematics on the handlebars itself without having to look. Be second nature to you.
It was amazing, like the radar system and stuff like that. You know, you think like, oh, you know, just because you're on this side of the road, you know, that like, oh, well, you know, that guy's blowing past me this way. Well, he can't call somebody on this side, or he doesn't know what's going on, right? Like it's very intricate, and it's made to help people to slow down and things like that. You know, the more people should know about these sophisticated pieces of equipment, so that they know, listen, don't mess around. Like this isn't the place to drive fast. Yeah,
we have all the tools to catch it, whether we're stationary or moving, and same, you know, it depends where we're at. These bikes are perfect for traffic enforcement. I think that's why they've been used over the course of decades now for different departments, not only just NHP, but we can squeeze into places that we know people are driving poorly, but it's not necessarily safe to put a car there. like it's, on the on-ramps, it gives a good visual looking down onto the freeway of how people are driving and getting those visual estimates of speeders or watching them drive in the shoulders, whatever the case may be. But these bikes are good because we could safely park in that shoulder where it'd be too tight for a car to get into.
Yeah.
So we could lose that enforcement benefit with a full-size car versus this motorcycle.
Yeah.
We could kind of leapfrog, if you will, down the freeway more efficiently than a car would in some cases.
And we talked the last time, but you know, to be in the motors, you have to first become a trooper.
Sure.
Right. So you all go through the same basic academy.
Right.
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 And then from there, then you have a passion for doing this. And you said how long you had to be a trooper for a certain amount of time before you could join the motors.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it was in the past. I was very fortunate when I came on. I just had to be off probation and in good standing with the department. No current issues going on. And applied for it. There was a little application process if other people were interested too. And then the squad was kind enough to take me on for 2 weeks, do like a temporary duty to see if I not only just fit in with the personalities and everything, but like the kind of enforcement we do, because we're very fortunate at NHP with doing the job as far as freedom goes. As long as there's not calls pending, we could go to different sections of town, do something new, see a part of town we haven't done before. Motors is more targeted enforcement, so we take a certain section of that freeway and we're there for all 4 days. And sometimes people might not necessarily like that limitation as far as we're going to only work this section of town for the whole week. Some people like moving around a little bit more. So I think that 2 weeks is important when we're pulling on someone that's interested in the motors to make sure they're okay with that compared to how it normally is.
And you're doing the targeted enforcement because there's the problem solving unit. People have responded and said, listen, people keep driving fast or whatever it might be. And so is there somebody who, can look at that? And here's the thing, like, it shows that you care. Like, look, like these emails or these phone calls aren't going in vain.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes the complaints can be legitimate, and we know our high-speed areas, we know our poor driving behavior areas very well just by rotating through the valley. And then other times we get like an off-the-shoot complaint, and we can go into that area, and we could do some target enforcement, ride around, show presence. And sometimes they're unsubstantiated, and that kind of helps us too. We're still filling that person's wish to have whatever they're complaining about addressed, and then see if it is really that bad, and we could focus more efforts there and maybe rotate into that section of the valley on a rotational basis, just like the other sections of the freeway. And then it's not as bad as someone might think it is too.
Yeah, no, 100%. But it's good that you're there. And my last kind of final questions, and then we'll get to the pictures. So,
sure.
When you not to get into personal, right? But so when you're riding tandem, because that was very interesting to me.
Yeah.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
So like you really, you have to know who your partner is and really how they're going to be flowing, and so you sort of just have to take yourself out of your body, right? Like you're mentally focusing on all these other things and right? Like am I wrong to assume something like that?
It is. It's uncomfortable, especially if you don't have a lot of riding experience before doing this job.
Yeah.
They really hammer that home during the school. We pair ride all the way to the speedway every day, pair ride all the way back, just to kind of get that comfortability with the bike itself and riding alongside someone. The person to the left, so if you're riding in pairs, the person on the left side controls that pair, if you will. So we're looking for those subtle movements, head check, over your shoulder to check the lane and make sure it's clear before moving over. So we're like using our peripheral vision and watching for those subtle movements to know when to move, when to come back. I would say it's easier to move to the right, change lanes to the right, than come back to the left.
Yeah.
Because the peripheral vision can more easily pick up that bike coming towards you. But yeah, it's kind of very much a trust in your partner kind of thing. And that's why I think when you're going through the school, it's a little nerve-wracking because we're all getting to know each other. Yeah. We don't necessarily know our abilities, but once you ride with the squad on a daily basis, you're trusting your partner to do those lane checks for you and just move as a pair. It looks very cool. It's a unique way to ride. The cool thing is I think it causes more visibility for us too. We're running the headlights full time on these motorcycles, just especially in two-way traffic streets, on city streets. But that visibility steps up when you have a pair there and you're driving with riding with that purpose. It's a more visibility, which is a safety thing too for motorcyclists.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for being here. I could keep going, but
No, I appreciate
we'll have
it.
to
Thanks.
get these pictures, right, Johnny? We have to get to the, I know. Johnny's already shaking his head. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, so US 95 Charleston is down to one travel lane due to an overturned cement truck. You know, I saw a cement truck on the other day pulled over to the side of the road, just parked with the hazard lights on.
Yeah.
And then I go up and I take my loop, and I was on the way back, and then on the way back he had his hood up on the cement truck.
Right.
And all I kept thinking about was, man, that cement is going to be hardening.
That's what
and
we always
you're
worry about.
all done, right? Like, how
Right.
much does one of these huge things? Like, I saw in one TV show where they tried to blow up the cement truck or
I think
something.
MythBusters did
Yeah,
that. Yeah, they
right.
put the dynamite in there.
100%.
Yeah, I know we've talked to them about that, because in these instances, if it's recoverable, like the barrel like there, we don't know. It could be flat on that one side, but if it's recoverable, I know they'll get in there, put the ear pro on, use jackhammer, start chipping that out to try to save their equipment.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that'd be a tough job, super loud.
Right, like inside
Pretty
of one of the
laborious.
Right. And so when we deal with things like this, we can obviously see, down to one travel lane, or we talked before about the resources. Now you have X number of troopers that now have to be there to make sure that nobody decides that they want to be a hero and get into the shoulder or something, like, what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all these type of things, right?
Yeah, you never know. I mean, we had one recently on the 215, a very similar situation like this, where we had a domestic violence call coming our way, allegedly. And so we're dealing with this freeway closure, but we have these two people possibly fighting in a car coming towards us too. So it's very different dynamics, crash scene versus possible violent scene. And so you just never know what's going to come up to you on this. I mean, everyone's using the highway to get from A to B
Yeah.
at some point. But yeah, unfortunately, these cement rollovers, there's been a few of them lately. I know we talked about a commercial crash last time I was here too.
Yeah.
That concrete, it's fluid in a way. And that very rear axle, it allows them to distribute their weight a little bit when they're loaded like this. That tag axle, and we've seen it. It looks like this one. I'm not exactly sure, but the left looks blown out too, and that's what caused that 215 one to blow out. So witnesses said they see the tire blow, they see the truck start rocking back and forth, and just talking to the commercial troopers, that sloshing effect. They lose that balance, that huge PSI in the back. They're rolling at freeway speed, becomes unbalanced, and then it starts swaying. And it's just like water in a bathtub.
Yeah.
It starts swaying like an earthquake, and it just causes that truck to just turn over like
And
that.
you're all done.
I don't think there's much you could do
Yeah.
in some of those situations. So I know the commercial guys hit it hard, where they're trying to look at the tires, the axles, and make sure they're safe, because there's so much weight in these specific vehicles. I mean, you can see there's two rotators there. Typically, it takes two tow trucks to overturn them. You're talking over 100,000 pounds of weight, especially if they have 10, 11, 12 yards of concrete in there.
And one of the great things about the Nevada State Police, right, is one of the other departments, just like you talk about, is the commercial guys.
Yeah.
Right, like we see them when they have the promotion ceremonies. They're not dressed. They're dressed in a different uniform and stuff like this. But
Yeah.
they're out there doing.
Yeah, they are.
Like, and so they're trying to protect these commercial vehicles.
Right.
I don't know if this person was doing it, so we're talking in a generalized.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, not necessarily know what
Right,
happened here,
but in a generalized, the commercial guys are out there to protect the commercial vehicles, so they're not doing things to, hurt the roadways and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I've spent some time down there with them at the check sites doing the commercial enforcement, and I'm just barely scratching the surface with those guys. I'm only certified to inspect driver qualifications and just do basic walkarounds with their inspection stickers and whatnot. But these guys get much more in depth. They're very knowledgeable when it comes down to commercial vehicles. It's amazing what they can remember with the regulations and what they're looking for as far as safety issues, brake lines, axles, tires, under the hood, mechanical, the weights and balances of the truck itself. And very knowledgeable troopers out there, and it's a cool little niche of the department too. Just like motors is its own niche.
Yeah.
It's another thing if you like working around big trucks. It's another very cool opportunity you could do
to
at
do
NHP.
that, right?
Yeah.
I tell everybody, Nevada State Police.
Nevada State Police, yeah. Not only we have motors, but we do have commercial troopers out there too. So if that's interesting to you, if you have trucker experience and mechanical experience, that's another opportunity at Nevada State Police.
Yeah, I think it's great, and like I said, to know all that type of stuff is really fantastic. You know
Yeah, it's
what I
pretty
mean?
impressive.
All right, congratulations to our 3 new Southern Command Nevada Highway Patrol sergeants.
All 3 sergeants recently promoted. Good guys there.
Okay.
On the left, you got Sergeant Jarvis, Sergeant Winder in the middle, and Sergeant Bransky on the right. He'll be out in Pahrump. So he's our Pahrump sergeant on the far right there.
And so, when you start as a trooper, you have different career goals and aspirations and things of this nature.
Right.
And if you choose to want to grow into a higher rank, the best part about the Nevada State Police, every time I go there, is that the leadership from the top loves it. Like most people, they don't like you to grow. They want you to stay at the bottom. And it's not the way that Nevada State Police is.
I get the same vibe you get. Just even though I've only been here just under 5 years, there's a lot of good movement. These guys very deserving of their positions. 2 of those guys, Sergeant Jarvis and Sergeant Winder, were my field training officers when I came on just a few short years ago.
Okay.
So know them personally on that level, and it's cool to see people that you know personally moving up that rank.
Yeah, it's really wonderful, and so when I look at it, and so we couldn't go to the promotion ceremony, it's one of the things that I really passionately love, because I'm able to just see you don't have one person in the room. Right? The room is not only filled, but you have everybody on the back wall,
Yeah.
and it's like
From our upper command down to the other sergeants too.
all the way around.
It is cool.
It's very special.
It is.
You know what I mean? And so
It is.
Congratulations to them. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's cool that they were. You have a personal connection,
Yeah.
right? That you
Yeah, I got to know them on a more personal level, maybe
Yeah.
than just seeing them as a supervisor. Yeah, it's very cool. I was happy to see him. I think there's a lot of good leadership in that group right there.
Yeah.
Sergeant Bransky being out in Pahrump too. I know he has his hands full. It's a big area they cover. And they also assist other rural jurisdictions out there too. So our Mount Charleston Indian Springs jurisdiction, those guys from Pahrump sometimes help that area, as well as our Beatty area. So up, you get these big crashes up there, calls for service way up in Beatty, even further north, sometimes towards Goldfield, before Northern Command starts taking over that section.
Okay.
His guys will sometimes be going up there. It's a lot of work to be done.
We there's a certain TV show that they play where they have officers weekly on Friday and Saturday where they follow them.
Oh yeah.
And in one of those places, it's Nye County.
There he is.
And so in Nye County, every once in a while, because they follow the sheriff there,
Right.
you'll see the troopers there.
Right.
Or they'll call the trooper because, you know what I mean, or something like this, because it's it's like on a highway, or it's the roadway, or you know what
Yeah.
I mean. And so sometimes you'll see them on that show, and you know what I mean.
It's cool. Yeah, I've had just a little bit of experience working the rural areas, more or less for coverage when people are out sick on vacation, whatnot, whatever the reason is. But it's definitely a different job, and they work a lot more. Not that we don't work hand in hand in the city, but typically there's enough backup where your own department's going to help back you up. Out there in Pahrump or Beatty or any of those areas, the other officers, whether it be deputy sheriff's office or Metro or whoever it is, they work hand in hand. They're definitely backing each other up. They have each other on speed dial in case the radios are not working right. And it's more of a traditional, I would say, police work out there in the rurals versus just mostly 90% or more traffic in Las Vegas for us.
Right, because you're just like, they show it, and they show the guy driving down the road, and it's like nothing for like nothing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And then
it's
all of a sudden,
intimidating.
like 12 houses show up or something, and they make a quick right-hand turn or something like that.
You got to know your area, and it's not
Yeah.
for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
You got to know when to pick and choose your battles, I would say.
Yeah.
You never know when backup's going to really be there or not. So,
Before we leave for today, just do me one favor. Look into the camera here. Tell everybody, if they want to work with you or, anything like that, where do they go? And then we'll go from there.
yeah, if you want to take a part in this job, whether it be in the cars, commercial, or on the bikes, Nevada State Police, DPS Careers, Google it if you can't find the website, and apply with us. Don't hesitate. If you've thought about it, come out, do a ride-along, see if you like it, and if you do, we're hiring. We're hiring like crazy. As you see, the retirements are here. There's a lot of movement in our department, so a lot of fun to be had.
And I think we reiterated, we talked about it last time, but you get the pay. You get not only get the pay increase, but this is like a special assignment, right? So
Correct,
you get more bonus on top of the regular pay, right?
Exactly. Yeah, if you're willing to put up with the heat,
Right.
in the cold, and you like the traffic enforcement on the bike, which in my opinion is the best thing in the department,
Right.
yeah, 10%. 10%'s a big bump.
It's a big bump.
It's a big bump.
Trooper Thayer, thank you so much.
Thanks,
okay?
Neil. Appreciate you
All right,
having me.
we'll look right here and we'll just wave and say thank you.
Thanks, everyone.